Please, just go. Yeah?
Why? It's true though.
Carry your laptop and
Check out
go.
Sheba.
Let's go,
It's
yeah?
true though. Well, the last time I spoke to her,
This lady is so fast, so you don't. You wait. I'm not putting anything.
don't allow anybody.
I'm not allowing anybody.
I don't want to.
Somebody don't log in.
Nobody don't log in.
Maybe just one test.
And thank God, I want to rename. I'm working on something. I don't. I just see how. I never go.
I put my money.
I wanted to try something.
Hi.
Spotlight video.
Slide.
Right
Line.
there.
Can. Shine. Shine. Shine.
Council. Yeah.
Texas toast. No bar
Ṣùgbọ́n ní pineapple ṣúgà ẹ̀ háì. Àbí?
Do you get something? So why
So-
you
I'm just
why
asking àti banana. Ẹnìkan jọ̀kọ̀ báyìí tó ń gbọ́
you-
wọn.
there's no food that does not have sugar.
All fruit
Don't
has
take
sugar.
banana at all. It's not good. Don't even take it. Banana is not good. It's not good for your health at all. The sugar content is too much.
And they say one banana a day keeps one thing.
No, it's apple now. It's apple.
Apple here me tell you.
Apple ti sú èmi.
I can't even eat it again. I don't know why. The whole thing don't tire me.
If I want to chop apple, I'm late.
Shey.
I don't feel chop again.
I no even fit buy am because I know I will not eat it.
Ti sú mi. Last water ara àwọn ọmọ mi ló jẹ tán.
Some of my children don't like am. That because Ọlọ́run initially came and
Jẹ́ kan tó ṣe
You
gbogbo.
know say for Nigeria apple dey cheap. Nobody dey buy apple for Naija. So wọ́n bí nǹkan mi.
Òbẹ́bẹ̀ máa ń kọjá Canada yìí.
Apple
Apple yẹn lábọ́.
All
the thing wey you no see chop well well.
For Naija you go chop am.
Buy chicken tó máa mọ̀ pé smell tó bá ṣe fresh chicken nígbà yẹn tí kò dùn yẹn. Oh my God.
You can't eat down.
Bad. So I don't even go to that. Sometimes mo dey advise mo say why would you take freezer one? Tí o dey smell bad. Oh, why not?
Ajẹ chicken, ajẹ abdrum.
Drumstick.
Oh jeez. I see that drumstick for shop. You see how I dey wait. In fact, I'm like, no, please. Meanwhile,
Ajẹ
somebody
drumstick.
just dey come now. That just
Na him na.
still dey sweet.
Dey go seriously. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir. Oh. Okay. Oh.
Nice. Really? Nice.
Mo máa lọ delete ẹ̀ sí. Ẹ ṣe gan ni sir. Mo kàn ń pè pé kí ṣe ti get ready, sir. All right. Ẹ ṣe gan ni sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You too, sir. Yeah.
As long as there's already beating you.
No, I'm sorry because it's hot outside. I don't want to.
And yes, Alex, what did you put away?
I thought I'm making it ready.
You carry yourself to the office, Mama.
How? Yeah, come and show me your dance step.
No,
Omi.
Exactly. Mama said God, exactly.
Àwa mú di yìí, a ṣe lọ sẹ́yìn àwọn àgbà ẹ̀. Kò sí lù o, láàárọ̀ yìí ó ń fọ bathroom láàárọ̀.
There's no music.
Máa gbọ́, ó ń fọ bathroom bó wá ṣe láì.
Nah, the same thing with this one.
Ìwọ náà.
I say that only for here with this.
Ìdí yẹn ló náà ṣe.
I say that only for here.
You see? Don't be here. I got the man Johnny. You can be talking to her. She just and I'm like, why are you stopping?
Guest speaker don't come. I will accept him in. I want to try something.
Hello, testing microphone.
Hello, sir.
Oh, Mr.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you, ma.
Okay, sir. You're welcome, sir. Okay.
Let me change my name.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Oh, jeez. What's that?
Wale.
Hey, jeezy. Oh, jeez.
Trying to.
I will be sharing the slide.
Martina.
I didn't give you access to share the slide. I'm the only one going to share it. Looks like.
You can share. You should be able to share.
I make him a co-host. Should I make you a co-host? Then you share.
Yeah, you can do that if you think it's gonna work. So that I can go, I can move the slide as I'm talking without waiting for you.
Yeah, I've made you a co-host, so you can.
Let me try now. See. Okay, I think.
You send us the link, this woman.
You don't even send us the link.
He did this thing. I did the group chat. Make I send them.
We send them.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
What's it?
Show your phone everything out.
No, already TV la mass media. I want to finish this.
Now. Oh wow, we like it in some asset.
Okay, I'm admitting. I'll make her a co-host. Okay, connecting. Our president is joining. Hello, ma. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're welcome. Yes, it's 15 minutes. I want to make you a co-host also. So
okay, sounds good. I'm trying to get my background together.
Hey, come and see MCCU. The way she dressed. Come and see makeup. Come and see.
Okay, where are you in somebody's house? Social distancing. Where are you in somebody's house?
Oh yeah, we don't hear you.
Where are you in somebody's house? Social distancing.
You don't package her with wig.
You're welcome. Thank you.
She dey go set up now. They come.
Who they set up? Mama. They go set up for him.
okay. You can see the screen, so you can just. Yeah, it's showing.
Can they help me too for my house?
They can read it.
Yes.
I can read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Me again.
Okay.
She said Humphrey Nabil. Did you see her?
Has she joined? I can't.
She said she'll be joining Humphrey something.
Yeah, she should join now. Add her.
Who is on film?
I better not put me as co-host.
No. We are not. Nobody else is co-host aside from. Yeah.
I'll be joining with her. Then the bell.
Now it's not the tell message. She look up. I think on where I trust on this. Give me one kind of food. Okay.
Two people have entered the waiting.
Let's go. Come on.
Okay, let me admit them.
Oh, anybody will admit me. Let me. Come
Can
on.
I admit
Now,
you?
you want to use your phone? No,
Don't let her in.
I should not let her in on the
Don't
phone.
let me.
Okay.
Have you sent it?
One person is a guest, so I don't want to admit her.
Don't admit yet. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not admitting anybody to 3.
I beg. Maybe the water will make us slim down.
Yeah, water also does. Water makes slim down.
Three like three.
See the way my face is. Like I'm a pan. The way my face is so dry.
I used to go and face the house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Tidy up. Everybody
do.
Everybody do.
So are we live on Facebook yet?
Not yet. Once we start, we'll go live.
Okay.
Okay, 10 more minutes. This lady is so fast now. She has been doing.
She
don't send me mail like 2 times.
Nigeria or Ghana?
I think it's Nigeria she came from.
But the thing is, when they are trying to get you check if they register. You don't know, so actually allow anybody to get it.
No, it's not anybody. It's if the register that got linked, so you can't just jump in. Except somebody else gives you. Except somebody else shared the link. It doesn't matter. Say it's numbers. So far we see their names. At the end of this thing, I can confirm.
Before we bring everyone, let's just say a quick prayer.
Okay,
in the mighty name of Jesus, Daddy, we thank you so much for this opportunity. We pray that you come and take absolute control. We don't want to do anything out of our own will. Let the Holy Spirit come and take absolute control and guide this meeting. And after everything, we'll give you glory, we'll give you praise. We thank you so much for everything. In the name of Jesus, have we prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen.
Is it like I'm fair or I'm looking fair or it's just too bright here? I don't understand my complexion.
Maybe it's bright. You know me, I'm at the back of the wall, so oh yeah. Office. Go. Go. Thank you. See you later.
I don't want all these books and things to come. I want all these books to come.
Okay. So
should I admit Barbara?
Yes, I'd admitted her.
And where's your background?
No background to do.
See face. MDCU.
Which one is that one? Please, I want background.
Which background?
How do you do the background?
The background is okay now.
Your background is fine.
Okay.
You look like a CNN reporter.
Honestly.
You know all the CNN reporters, that's what they do. They will put book at the background. Okay, Jason, I need to.
You are doing well.
Oi! Oh my God! Freaky!
Doing well. Freaky baby.
Yeah, then you put my laptop.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and
hey babe.
Is that the way you are going to be sitting down?
What happened? You have removed us.
No, you are there. Nobody touched it too.
I can't see anybody. We can't see anything. Same lunch here. What's going on?
This is your yes sign. Your face is looking. I feel like taking your picture.
What's going on? Who's the hairstyle?
How do we? I have a question. How do we take a picture of this thing?
Screenshot. There's a place that should say screenshot.
Screenshot.
No,
Where is it?
I don't know what's going on. I think I might go out and come back.
Where's the screenshot?
Join from the back browser.
I think that's better. Join from your browser. See what you need to do.
I'm not you need to do. I'm not a woman.
Where is it?
Let us in.
Oh, wait, I'm coming. You guys are in. It's still saying join in, so let's wait.
Computer audio.
Join audio by computer.
Please, where is the screenshot now? I can't see it.
Why is it echoing?
Because someone on the phone.
Hello? You're in the yell.
Yes, it's echoing.
So what do we do?
I'll be trying twice.
Lower your.
Don't do one.
Hello?
Hello, Ma, you're welcome. Can you hear us?
Hello?
This is the echoing.
You log in for your phone. I don't log in.
I removed her. I think it's loud from the speaker.
Okay,
was it from my place?
If you meet, we hear them.
Yes, mute yourself, you will hear us. If you mute, you will hear.
Just mute it.
Yeah.
Supposed to be speaker.
You're supposed to be speaker.
No, it's
Because the first time.
Mute now, mute yourself.
You don't mute, oh. Okay.
You have to mute yourself. I can't find where to take the picture. Please, I need help.
I'm coming.
Barbara,
Oh, yeah, it looks like, because
It's better now.
no, we don't come out. So.
We can't even see ourselves.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to log in. Just move. Don't distract. See, the two of you are here. Don't distract us.
Is that one okay? That one is not right.
I still can't find where to take picture.
Jason is like.
They come up. What's the time?
The time is.
We are 2 minutes away.
Where's Oga?
Oga, come on. Okay, so let me try. I think we logged in twice. That's why.
Yeah.
This I log in for the browser. I also log in for the app.
Should I mute? I will mute everybody.
Maybe you're not.
Yo.
You.
Samuel. Okay, I know this name. Okay, how many minutes more? 2 minutes more to go. So we are complete. I will soon start letting people in.
Wait, X is the host? I'm gonna attack it.
What's this thing doing now? I already have Zoom here. That's it now. Yeah. Are you there now?
Bye-bye.
Are you the host?
Yes, I'm the host. Bye-bye.
Hi.
You don't see where to screenshot?
No, I've not seen. I'm still looking for it.
It's not making sound again. It's not making sound.
What about those with iPhone just screenshots from their end?
Sorry?
What about we screenshotting from our end, like especially those with iPhones who can just tap on the
Yeah, please, if any one of us knows where to screenshot from, because I can't look. I'm trying to still look it.
I think it's phone that has.
It's phone that has screenshots.
Okay, Wale, you are muted though.
Everybody should mute. I will mute everybody now. I'm coming.
Okay, ma.
We have.
Now we're going to sit down. Like your husband said, like if we're no serious. Hey guys, you can't. They don't know us as African Connect.
Everybody on mute. Only me is on. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. I'm letting in the guests too. Can I go ahead? Okay. We have 3 guests. They are coming in now. Coming in. Okay. So find head. This is confusing. Activity. How many points have we have? Training.
Hello, everyone. We are just trying to add and admit as much people as we can, then we can start. But if you are here, hello and welcome to the Immigrant Support Group meeting. Thank you for joining us.
Auntie, Mommy said she cannot hear it on live on Facebook.
It's not your life yet.
Okay.
Just when we start out the life, must start out. They are admitting people into the meeting.
Hello, we are starting to thank you to all of you who have joined us. We are trying to add as much people that we can add or admit as much people that we can admit, then we will start. So give us just about 2 minutes or less, or maybe 1 minute, then we are starting soon. Sorry for the wait. You are all welcome once again, and thank you for joining us. Okay. Okay, so I think we are good. We don't have anyone in the waiting room now, so we can start. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us. My name is Enimwa Obeng Akrofi, and I am part of African Connect Society. And so I want to say good afternoon to those who are in Canada or in the US or wherever you are joining us from. If it's in the afternoon, good afternoon. And if it's in the evening, for those of us joining from Africa, good evening to you as well. And so before I go on to talk about African Connect, I just want to set the ground rules. Please mute your speaker when you join. So if you haven't mute your speaker, do well to mute your speaker so that your surroundings do not influence the meeting. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I think there's a chat room. Leave all your comments in the chat room and we would answer them. There's going to be one speaker, but then there's also going to be a professional, a certified immigration consultant who will be available to answer all your questions. For those of us who want to immigrate here and have questions, there's going to be an immigration consultant who will answer all these questions. So if you have questions with regards to immigrating to Canada, and if you have questions pertaining to the speaker, please leave all your questions in the chat. We would collate them, and when the speaker is done, we will ask them and they will answer your questions. And so also, before you leave, please leave your comments, your thoughts or suggestions for this Zoom support group meeting before you leave the group. Okay, once again, thank you very much. And as I earlier said, I am Enimwa Obeng Akrofi, and I'm part of Afri-can Connect. And we are very grateful that you were able to join us, and we welcome you today. So Afri-can Connect is a non-profit society and established with the aim of supporting immigrants, especially immigrants from Africa. And one of the ways that we want to support immigrants is through this support groups. We realize that mostly when immigrants move from Africa and come to Canada, they are either unemployed or underemployed, or they stay in survival jobs for a long time. The statistics are there to prove that immigrants are found in low-paying and precarious jobs. Some people have been overwhelmed because they can't find skilled jobs, although they use skilled jobs to immigrate here, and then they become very disappointed, and sometimes they want to go back home, or they think that it's over. And so this support group is just to bring people together, to encourage us that there are success stories. There are people that came in that have succeeded, and it's possible. It might take a while, but it's doable and it's possible. And that is why the support group is there. And so every once in a while, we will bring a successful entrepreneur or a successful business person, or someone who has succeeded, to come and talk to us, to come and encourage us, to come and inspire us. We want Africans in Calgary especially to have a presence. We want us to be economically empowered. We want us to have jobs. And we don't want us to lose hope. We don't have to stay in the survival jobs. Staying in the survival job can keep you there. We don't want that. And so that is the reason why the support group is there. And we hope that you are encouraged. We hope that you are inspired. We hope that you really, really love it. And then please leave your comments and suggestions. So for this month, it's going to happen every month, once every month, the last Saturday of every month. And we are going to bring, sometimes we bring social workers, you're going to bring psychologists, you're going to bring other people to come and encourage us and talk to us. This month, we have the pleasure and we have the honor that our speaker is Mr. Wale Adewomi. Mr. Wale Adewomi is a financial service professional with over 20 years post-qualification experience in commercial banking and trade finance. Prior to coming to Canada in 2016, he held various positions with the banking industry in Nigeria. He is a holder of a CBAP, PMP, and CDCS designations, and currently is a corporate account manager with an international bank in Calgary. Thank you very much, Mr. Adewomi, for agreeing to be our speaker for today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Anima, you're welcome, and I want to say thank you for the privilege that I've been given to talk and share my own story this afternoon with a lot of other people who are my African brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure. And I also want to say a big thank you to the Afri-can Connect team for putting this together. And one of the reasons why, just like you mentioned, for putting this together is for people to share their success stories, so that many of us who are coming from Africa to Canada, we can be encouraged and we can know that there are a whole lot of other success stories, and there are other people who have been successful and who have been able to navigate themselves through the challenges that they encounter when they came to Canada. So this afternoon, I'm going to be sharing some insights to, basically I'm going to be talking about, when we started, where we're coming from. Many of us, we come from Africa, and there are things that will benefit when we're coming from Africa. And when we get to Canada, what are the kind of challenges that we encounter when we go to Canada? And also, what have we been able to do successfully to be able to navigate through those challenges and be able to turn things around? And this is what I'll be sharing today. Just like Anima mentioned, we're going to be having a question and answer session after the presentation. so that if you have any questions or you need any clarification in any form, please feel free. And we are here to be able to support ourselves and to be able to make sure that every one of us here will become a successful immigrant in the land of Canada. So I'll be sharing my screen so that we can go along together. And so just like we said, shine like a diamond. I love the topic that they shine like a diamond. And one of the reasons why I love that topic is that a diamond, it doesn't matter which particular area a light is reflected on it, that diamond will shine. So if you are shining in Africa, you can shine in Canada. If you are shining in the banking industry, you can shine in IT industry. So all around shining. And that is why I love these shining like a diamond. And I know that by the time we settle in here in Canada, many of us, we will be shining like a diamond. This is put together by Afri-can, and we appreciate you. And just like we said, this is part of the immigrant support. We'll be supporting migrants, and I really love the fact that this is being done. So we really do that. So getting started, and the first thing I want to talk about is that many of us prior to coming to Canada, I mean, many of us who live in Africa, we have some. I don't want to talk about the disadvantage. I just want to talk about the advantage where we are in our different locations. Some of us are in Nigeria, some of us are in Ghana, or different part of the world where we have. I mean, prior to us coming to Canada, especially many of us who are skilled immigrants, who are economic immigrants. So many has, like myself, I have 16 years banking experience in Nigeria. And across that time, I've been able to move across the ladder within the banking industry to become a team lead. And I know that because of that, after spending 16 years, already have good reputation within the industry. You have excellent professional network. And the thing is that you have excellent support system. Many of us, I mean, we had the opportunity of having, after you have moved, we have ability to be able for you to have a housemate. You have the support system of your aunts, uncles, or your nephews, or your nieces staying around with you, supporting you. Many even have drivers, so you don't even need to drive your car yourself. So someone is driving you around. And in Africa, we have good weather. And also we have excellent social circles. We have friends. I mean, whenever you want to do any event, all you need to do is just call, and you see that a lot of people come around. I mean, many times when I tell people that when you want to do an event in Africa, when you just do an invitation, you find that at the end of the day, you have 200 people, 300 people coming around to celebrate with you. So we have that social circle. That is prior to coming to Canada. But on arriving in Canada, what happens? There are two levels. When we arrived in Canada, it was like, oh, after all these years of a lot of effort in making sure that we are able to success. We are now successful. We have. Can you hear me? I think everybody can hear me, right? Yeah. So you are now in Canada, and successfully you have been able to overcome the challenges of ITLS. You overcome the challenges of getting your certificate recognized by WES. You have been picked now, and you have arrived successfully in Canada. And there is this joy. Now I have a better standard of living. I'm living in a safe and clean environment. There is access to state-funded healthcare. I don't need to worry about hospital anymore. We have a well-developed public transport systems. And Canada is boasting of a country where we have several career opportunities and good working conditions. There's excellent education opportunities, not only for the children, even for the adults. And also there are natural beauty. I mean, for those of us who are in Canada, you see the Niagara Falls in Toronto. To come to Alberta, you have Banff in Alberta, and a whole lot of beautiful places for you to see. So there's this joy that finally I'm now in Canada. But after coming to Canada, and just like me also, when I came, I was very happy we'll be able to make it. And not forgetting that down the line, as a permanent resident, if you come to Canada, down the line after 3 years, or in your 4th year, you qualify to become a Canadian citizen. And getting a Canadian passport gives you an access to go to almost 200 countries without visa requirement. These are part of the things. I mean, we're happy. Now, but apart from the joy, there are challenges that are waiting for you here in Canada. And that is it. Challenges we're talking about. Now I'm here. How do I get a job? How do I get a job? finding employment. That's the challenge. Then the other thing you want to talk about is how do I the cultural differences. You have cultural differences where you know that the culture we have, most of us from Africa, is a little bit different. So you have to adjust yourself in such a way that, okay, how do I kind of like navigate myself through here with the cultural differences? Then the housing, where am I going to live? And what are the factors that will tell me where am I going to live? What kind of house I want to live? I mean, these are the part of the things. You look at transportation issues. How do I move around? I need to buy a car. And even before you buy a car, you have to make sure that your license that you come with from Africa, you have been able to exchange it. You have to, some of us, you have to go through road tests. Even after driving for 10, 20 years in Nigeria, I still have to go through a road test to be sure that I'm driving in line with the expected Canadian way. Then access to local services. How do I get access to local services? How do I get access to this market? How do I get access to this? So, I mean, these are things that you have to kind of like have to battle with when you come in. And for those people who have children, you have to see, how do we raise the children? What kind of school do we send them to? And all sort of these, we have to figure it out. And the next thing is, for some people who their primary language is not English, then we have language barrier. How do I communicate? Canada is a both French and English speaking country. So you have to either communicate in French or in English. But if your primary language is neither French nor English, then you have the language barrier. And apart from the fact that some of us who actually speak English, you also have the fact that, I mean, one of the things I'm going to get to along the line is the issue of having an accent. And you know, sometimes when you talk to people, they say you have some accent. And another challenge is you see that after settling in, then you begin to have the issue of isolation. Or your parents are in Nigeria, or my parents are in the different locations. I mean, now I don't have families around me like I used to when I was in Lagos in Nigeria. And also another challenge is the issue of the weather. I mean, so when you come here, I mean, I lived in Lagos for years, and the average weather in Lagos is about maybe 25 degrees all through year round. Then you come to Calgary, where I actually came in 2016, December, January, where an average weather during that period is 0 degrees. Sometimes you do like -30, sometimes you do like -20, and you're coming from a place where you're doing an average of 25 degrees. So some of these things can be the challenges that you encounter when you get here. These are part of the challenges I encounter when I get here. And I was like, okay, what do I do? Now, the first thing we did was to say the first thing we have to do is to get an housing. Once we get an housing, we be able to begin to settle in, because the question is that your housing is going to determine a lot of things. Where do you settle? How do you go to school? Because to take the kids to school, I mean, the way it's structured here in Canada is that where you live determines where the schools where your kids are going to go to. I mean, so after getting that, you get your license, you buy a car if you can afford that, or you go get through access to public transport system just for you to be able to move around, to be able to access local services. So now the challenges are there. Now, but one of the major challenges, and that is why African Connect has come together, is the issue of finding employment. And that's where we're going to zero in today. We're going to be talking about how the issue of finding employment, that's a major challenge, and how we can navigate through that. Statistics of Canada, they did an analysis, and these are the statistics they did, that for immigrants who have arrived in Canada and stay for 4 years, they did a survey and they find out what kind of challenges they actually encounter. What do they consider as their major difficulty? From this analysis, we can see that almost 50%, that's 46.1%, face the challenges of finding an adequate job. Finding an adequate job, meaning that one of the greatest challenge that any immigrant that come to Canada faces the issue of getting a job or settling into a job. And Anim actually mentioned the issue of underemployment. I mean, I actually didn't even know the meaning of underemployment until I got to Canada, because it wasn't an issue in my home country. So it was when I got here I discovered that There are several issues of underemployment. And when we're talking about underemployment, we're talking about situation whereby you are doing a job that is well below your qualification, is well below your skill, and it's not a job that you can actually say is making full use of your skill and ability. So, I mean, we have to, these are part of the things you have to deal with. So we will be focusing on getting the job. So what are the challenges in getting a job? The first major challenge that we come across here as immigrants is the issue of many companies are asking for Canadian experience. And when I ask myself a question, I'm an immigrant. I've never been to Canada before. I just came all the way from Nigeria to Canada, and I'm applying for a job. And the question they're asking me is that they needed me to have a Canadian experience. The question is, where am I going to get the experience from if nobody gives me a job? How do I overcome this challenge? Because how can you get an experience and you're coming in new, they've seen that you just arrived, you're less than a month in the system, and they are requiring you to have a Canadian experience for you to get a job. This is one major challenge. How to navigate about that, we're going to talk a bit about it. The other one is lack of recognition of foreign credential and experience. We have very good credentials, very good schools in Africa. Many of us, we've been able to go through schools. Some people come with MBA, MSc, and here we are in Canada, and a lot of people do not even recognize those credentials. The experiences that we have already in Africa, many times is not even recognized also. And so as a result of that, these are part of the challenges we face when we come into Canada. The other challenge is the lack of professional network. Like I said before, when I was in Nigeria, when I was working, after being in the industry for 16 years, so I have the necessary professional network. I know who is who. I mean, in the banking industry, former colleagues, former boss, former subordinate. I mean, people you've been interacting with. So over the 16 years that you have been working in that industry, then you'll be able to build some good professional network. But here you are new in the country, you haven't gotten a job, so you don't have the necessary professional network. And I discovered, one of the things I also discovered is that many a times in Canada, one of the ways in which you get a job is through referral. Now, if you don't have a professional network, how do people refer you? How will people be able to recommend you for a job? And so those are part of the challenges. Another challenge is that some job require Canadian certification. There's some job that, I mean, many people, when they get here, they discover that you can't practice with a certificate that you obtain outside of Canada. You need to obtain Canadian certification. And some people who are medical doctors, people are engineers, people are pharmacists, they actually know that before you are allowed to practice in your profession here, you have to obtain the Canadian certification for that particular profession. And so if you don't have the certification, and by the time you are coming in here, it means that you will not be able to practice in your profession until you get it certified by the Canadian body. And the other issue is the issue of discrimination, overqualification, and underemployment. I mean, the truth is that without any doubt, we know that there are systemic discrimination in the system. And sometimes, previously I used to be very angry about it, but later, I mean, the day I stopped getting angry about it was when I got a job and I was talking to someone, and the question she asked me is that, how come you speak good English? And I was like, why are you asking me that question? And she was like, I thought in Africa, nobody speaks English. I thought you have to, I mean, so there are a lot of ignorance. People really do not know a lot about us in Africa. And so I have to kind of like explain to her, and I said, you know what? All my education is in English. And don't forget, just like the way British came here to Canada, that was the same way British were in Nigeria. So we were educated in the British way. So many of us here are British educated, British curriculum, and so we have English as our lingua franca. So, I mean, many people do not know that. So you suffer for people who don't know that. And also another issue is that you get some job and they look at you and you have an MBA and they look at the job they are giving to you and they say you overqualified. And the reason why they do that is that the employer is looking at the fact that for someone to have an MBA and I'm giving a job that only requires maybe a high school or at the maximum an undergraduate qualification, then the employer is feeling that if I give this job to this staff or to this person, it's possible that he doesn't feel satisfied, doesn't feel utilized, then he might actually leave the job anytime soon. And these are part of the challenges we have to face. And I've seen several people who went to some immigrant service agency and they asked them to kind of like tone down their qualification. And several times I see people call me and said that somebody is telling him or her to tone down their qualification in order for them to get a job. And I said, why? Why do you want to sell yourself short? I mean, it is possible you have the MBA, you have it. There's no point removing it. I mean, all you need to explain is that you are new in this country. I mean, as you're a new person, you need to get a foot in the door according to the terminology used there. Then the other thing is communication barrier. I mean, I remember I was talking to a colleague and she told me one day after we've been together for like 6 months, and she said that the first 2 months, anytime I'm talking to you, Wale, the first 2 months, I barely struggle to understand what you're saying in English. And I said, okay, true. Why are you struggling? I'm speaking English. And he said, oh, it's just that I don't understand. I said, but after staying with you, I now understood what you're saying. So we have this barrier that we need to overcome. And another thing is lack of occupation-specific terminology. And I'm going to use customer service in banking and average banking in Nigeria. If you look at a customer service in average banking in Nigeria, a customer service staff attends to customer, the customer service staff opens the account for customer, and in some banking, the customer service staff do marketing, they do relationship management, they do KYC, they do anti-money laundering, they even process transactions. But when you get here into Canada, you will discover that job that is being done by single staff is actually 3 separate jobs. We have somebody whose job is customer service, attending to inquiries only, and helping customers to resolve their issues. That's a customer service. Opening accounts and checking that the documentation is okay. That's not the job of a customer service. That is the job of a KYC officer, or in some other cases, they call it onboarding operations staff. So we're also having to open an account for somebody, making sure that everything is in line with the regulations and all sort of. There are people who are checking the anti-money laundering. We have anti-money laundering specialists. That's their job. And opening account, going about doing marketing, we have people who are specifically employed to do the job of relationship management, go get an account. So you discover that an Afri-can is well packaged. It's well packaged because not only is a customer service officer, but he has various experience. I'm going to talk about this along the line, how we can use these opportunity of being a well-packaged staff, even in your locations in your country, to your own advantage here in Canada. And the another thing is insufficient information about employment opportunities. Many a times, a whole lot of us as immigrants, the only place where we go to look for opportunities, many of us, we are going to Indeed, we are going into Monster, we are going to different job boards to look for jobs. But there are other opportunities that are available that are not posted on Indeed. There are other opportunities that are available that you don't see on those job boards. But how do you go about getting the job when you don't have the information? So these are part of the challenges we face. And I'm just going to quickly try to use my own experience to see how do we overcome these challenges. The number one thing I'm going to talk about is we need to create a functional resume. I mean, in Nigeria, where I migrated from, in fact, we call it CV, curriculum vitae. And so when I get to Canada, and the way we structure it in Nigeria, I mean, you have your name, in fact, you have your date of birth, you have your state of origin, you have all those information. In fact, sometimes you put your sex, either you are male or you're female. But here in Canada, the resume is totally different. Those informations are not required. In fact, many of the information that are required is about what you have been able to do, what you achieved. I mean, I was talking to a colleague and I had a discussion with her, and she was like, okay, when we're having a discussion about getting a job, and I was telling her that while I was working in Nigeria, I had opportunity to go to training in some countries in Europe. And she said, you mean you've been to trainings in Europe? I said, yes. And she said, but that is not stated on your resume. How am I going to know you've been there? I mean, these are vital information which is missing. Some of us, we've won some award while we were working as being maybe one of the best performing staff. Those informations are key informations. I mean, one of the important things that they want to see in your resume is your job, what you have been able to do, and what you have been able to achieve on that job. And so for you to be able to get a job, the first thing is to create a functional resume. But the beautiful thing about it is that if you don't know how to go about it, the government of Canada and in each of the provinces, they have different resources, different agencies that can work with you and help you to prepare your resume. But I know that a lot of immigrant service agencies that are in Calgary, that if you have a challenge with your resume, you can walk into any of them. They can work with you. They can make sure that you prepare a functional resume, because when you get a functional resume, because what people will see about you first is your resume before they see you. So your resume should be able to tell your story. Your cover letter should be able to tell your story. Your cover letter should be able to state the reason why you are the best candidate for that job. So your resume and your cover letter requires a well-detailed job that will ensure that you are qualified for the job. And another important thing we should know about a functional resume is that the resume should be tailored towards the job role. Towards the job role. Like I was making an example of a customer service representative before. If you have had experience and you had an experience of opening an account, you've done a lot of onboarding, you've done a lot of money laundering, but you are customer service in Nigeria. But however, that job you were doing, which was part of your customer service, is a different job. It's an onboarding job. It's a KYC job. And you're applying for that job. It means that your resume should be tailored towards that particular job requirement. Because if your resume is not tailored toward the job requirement, then you won't be considered, even though you have other things you have done. I mean, there are details that the HR who is looking at it don't need. What they need is for make sure that the resume and the cover letter tells the story about the job you are applying for. And the next thing is networking, which is one of the major important things that we need to do, networking. Like we said before, when we were in our home country, many of us, we have a lot of professional network. Now, when we get into Canada, we need to start networking, and we need to start right away when we get in. Because for myself, as an example, the job that I got, how I started my career was a form of a networking. And when I met, she knows that I'm here, and she saw an opportunity, and she said, "Hey, Wally, I have this opportunity, and I think you qualify for it. Why don't you apply for it?" And that was the beginning of the success story. So networking is important, and you don't need to know everybody. I mean, you can start looking at people who are in the same professional job that you wanted to do. You need to be able to network with them. You can locate them on LinkedIn and send messages to them. I had another friend who is a lawyer. And when I was having a discussion with him how he got a job, and what he did was to identify law firms in Calgary, identify the partners in those law firms, and he sent in a request for a coffee meeting with those lawyers. And it's not every one of them that responded, but few responded. And those few that responded, some of them scheduled a coffee meeting. And the long and short of it is that it was one of those partners that he met during the coffee meeting. And that partner says, "You know what? I really do not have any opening in my firm, but I know a friend who is looking for someone." And once that immigrant was referred to that other guy, that was how the other guy got a job. So networking is key. Networking is important. And networking also leads us to mentoring. It's only through networking that you can begin to look for mentor. You can look for a mentor. If you are been working as and you want to work, let's say for example, you want to concentrate on being an anti-money laundering specialist. Part of people who should be in your network are people who are already an anti-money laundering specialist in Canada. You can locate them via LinkedIn, you can locate them through other friends that you have. And once you have them, make a request to say, come in, let me be your mentor. Can you be my mentor? So that she'll be able to guide you, they'll be able to provide professional information on how do you need to navigate your career through Canada. Some of those jobs might require you get a certification. Then they'll be able to tell you the advantage of each of the certification, which in turn is going to help you to navigate your way through. Then the next thing is volunteering. Remember, we mentioned before that one of the challenges that we face is the issue of Canadian experience. One of the way for a newcomer to Canada to get the needed Canadian experience, even when you don't have a job, is through volunteering. Volunteering is a very big aspect of the Canadian society. And all you need to do is to identify a particular office, a particular social organization that is willing to accept volunteer. And all you need to do is apply to be a volunteer. I mean, the benefits of volunteer is that it gets you into the office, you are able to work with them, you are able to understand the way they are doing things. You also create contact, you also build a social circle, you also understand the Canadian workplace culture because you already volunteer. You're in an office, you now know the office environment, you know the way things are working there, you understand. I mean, the only downside is that you don't get paid. Volunteer is free, so you work for free. But however, you're also getting something in return, and that is the needed Canadian experience. Then the next thing I want to talk about is you need to stay positive. I have seen a lot of people who come into Canada with so many expectations, and after struggling in the market, maybe for 2 or 3 months, they become negative. Staying positive is very, very important. And it's also important to surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people are here. Myself, I want to give you a typical example. When I came into this country, I arrived on December 2016. And that was during the festive period. And so I didn't get to start looking for a job until January 2017. So January 2017 was the first time I started looking for a job after the festivity of both the Christmas and the New Year. And I started working in the following month, February 2017. That was when I started working. So meaning that within a month, I was able to get a job. That is not the story for everybody. There are people who have to stay for 3 months. There are people who have to stay for 6 months before they get a job in their profession. But the reason why I'm saying it is that there are people, I know of a friend of mine who was working with a bank in Nigeria. He got a job even while he was still in Nigeria. So by the time he was coming here to Canada, he was resuming directly to another bank here in Canada. So there are several positive stories around, not only negative stories, because there are people who the only thing that we share with you is the negative story. How they came with their MBA, they ended up working as a forklift operator in a warehouse. Of course, there are people who do that. But what I'm saying is that surround yourself with positive people and stay positive. When I talk to my friends, I used to talk to them about what I call SJ and DJ. And SJ, I mean survivor job, and DJ, your desired job. And the reason why I say that is that when you come into the country and you are finding it difficult to get a job, I mean, the fear that goes through the mind is that the funds that I come with is being depleted because I mean, cost of living is high in Nigeria, in Canada, the funds is being depleted. And there's this fear that how can I sustain myself if I deplete my funds? So you want to kind of like look for ways to keep surviving. So there's nothing wrong in trying to get a survivor job to keep you going, but do not allow the survivor job to make you lose focus of your profession. Because the truth is that you are here in Canada for a long run. It's not a short run. You are here in Canada for a long run, and you must prepare yourself for that long run. Then the other thing is you need to get out of the ethnic silos. I know that naturally, I mean, once you come into the country, you get close to people who are from the same tribe like you, from the same country like you, which is good. That is the starting point for you to get to know the country because they're going to, I mean, hold your hands, lead you around, make you know this is the way things are. But however, once you settle in, be open to embrace people from other ethnic groups. Canada is noted to have been a multicultural country. It's a multicultural country, meaning that there are people from different countries all over the world in Canada. And therefore, you must be willing to reach out to everybody, both the people from Africa, the people from Asia, the Chinese, the Canadian themselves. You need to have friends across different culture, different ethnic group. Do not stay only to your ethnic group. It is important because at the end of the day, you need those contacts, those connections to keep you going, to keep your career moving forward. The last thing I want to talk about here, you need to embrace Canada. I mean, when I talk to people, one of the things I said, I really don't complain about the weather here. I know the weather is cold before I came to Canada. And so the only thing I need to do as a person is for me to prepare myself to embrace this country. This country, I've migrated to it. I need to enjoy this country. I need to love this country. So you need to embrace the city. You need to embrace the country. You need to know more about the country, know about the culture, know about the places. Embrace this city completely. When you do that, it's going to help you a lot because many a times it's as if, oh, here I'm here in Canada, but I mean, the weather can get extremely cold. Sometimes it can be depressing, but the truth is that we all know that when we were coming to Canada, that we already know that one of the challenges we are going to face in Canada is the issue of the weather. So we need to embrace it. We need to stay positive. So these are the few things I'm going to talk about. And the other thing I want to mention is that for people who want to go to school, there are opportunities for you to further your education. I mean, government is also there to support you. And I know that when you come into the country, there are people who, for the fact that they want to change their profession. I had a friend that we were together in banking industry in Nigeria. When she got to Canada, she said she doesn't want to continue in banking anymore. She want to work in the health profession. So she has to ditch all the experience she has in banking, and she went to study to become a nurse. And now she's working as a nurse. But she has a plan. And so it's important for us when we come into this country for us to be able to know, what do I want to do? When I was coming to this country, for example, I know that I've been working in banking for 16 years. So my first desire, priority, is for me to continue my job in banking industry. But however, I prepare myself for alternatives. If I don't get a job in banking industry, what else can I do? And I remember that then the only other thing I would love to do is to be an IT person, to be a business analyst person. And so what I did was, even before I got to Canada, already have ahead of my mind, this is what I intend to do. So I know that what do I need to do for me to be a business analyst, to be a project manager. So even before my arrival in Canada in 2016, I already got the certification, already had the certification for a business analyst. I got that certification already. I already got the certification for being a project manager. And the reason why I did that was because I know that when I got here, if the banking industry doesn't work, then I have other things that I can do. I have a friend like myself who did the same certification, though he has almost the same 16 or 20 years experience in banking, but today he's working in Canada and is working as a business analyst. So the challenge I see with some of us when we migrate into Canada is we don't have a plan. And therefore, so everything that comes across us, then that is what we begin to embrace. We must have a plan. We must do a research to see what kind of job do I want to do? What is the future prospect of this job? Do I have a passion for this job? And the thing is that here in Canada, jobs are actually segmented. Different jobs, different roles, even within the banking industry. And it's also important for you to identify, are there certifications I needed in order for me to be able to get this job? Do I need to get a certification? Do I need to get any certification required? These are the few things that I'm going to talk about today in order for us to be able to settle into this country. Before I go into the question and answer, which I know that, I mean, based on the presentation, which is 30 minutes, we need to know that this is a good country. This is a beautiful country. Many of us, we spend years, we spend a lot of resources, we spend a lot of energy to migrate to this country. And some of us is spending that time. So when you eventually come into this country, the joy is for you to enjoy the country. And that is why I love what Afri-can Connect is doing. There are opportunities there. There are jobs here. They're looking for people. There are openings there. It's just for you to be able to get the right contact for you to get a job. And that is what Afri-can Connect is trying to do. Matching African immigrants with their talent, with the skills, with the required job. And this can come in different forms. So I just want to say thank you for listening. And if any one of us have any questions, we can take them one after the other.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adewomi. We really, really appreciate it. This was very informative. I enjoyed it. We are really glad that you could make time. And so we have a question on Facebook, and we have some other questions as well that we are going to ask you. But before we ask you the questions, please, if you have any questions, I know he was very, very thorough. And so you probably might think that there are no questions that you need to ask. But if you have any questions, put it in the chat session or put it on Facebook, and we'll read to him and he can answer your questions for you. Okay, so we have one question on Facebook from Kofi Abrefa, and he says, I'm an AML specialist in Sydney, that is Australia, working with Australia's biggest bank and moving to Canada next year. Any advice on networking?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, AML is one big part of the banking industry, and it's going to stay there forever. So one of the starting points is for you to go into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the easiest way for you to start networking. And all you need to do is, if you go into LinkedIn and you put it AML specialist in Canada, it's going to generate a whole lot of names. And out of these names, then you have to start reaching out and begin to ask them, what do I need to do? How do I connect with you? Some of them will be willing to connect with you. And I don't just want to say that don't be discouraged if you send messages to people and some of them don't respond. I used to work with what is called Pareto principle. The Pareto principle is 80-20. So meaning that if I send a message and I get only 20% response, if I send to 10 people and 2 people respond, then that means I'm successful. So you need to use the LinkedIn to network. And the other thing I want to say is that I know that one of the certification required for an AML is certified anti-money laundering specialist. So it would be nice if you're coming next year, if you don't have the certification already, it would be a good idea for you to have that certification before you come in, because certification is like a stamp on your qualification, on your experience, on your skill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also, we have an immigration consultant in the house, a certified immigration consultant. So if you're in Africa or if you're elsewhere and you want to immigrate to Canada and you have questions, please also put that in the chat session on Facebook, and we would ask him and he will answer your questions. And if you want to connect with him, he will speak and he will leave his details behind, because I know sometimes people want help to be able to immigrate here, and he'll be able to help you post-COVID, what is going to happen and everything that is currently happening. Okay, so there's another question, Mr. Adewomi. So the question is, so I've been in Canada for 6 months and I can't find a job. The money that I brought is running out. Would you advise that I take up a survival job? Or how would you advise me with regards to this and having a survival job?
All right. Yeah. I mean, several people, when we come to Canada, we find ourselves in that same circle. 2 questions. Number one is that I used to, like I said before, if you've been in the country for 6 months, you'll be looking for a job. If your fund is depleting so fast, then it might make sense for you to find a way to be able to get some survival job to pay your bills. But however, one of the most important things is that you must not lose sight of your own career. And like I said, one of the other ways you can do for you to be able to get the experience, because what I see is that I have seen a lot of people who took survival jobs and they get stuck in that survival job. They get stuck there. I've seen somebody who has a master's degree and has been working in warehouse for 3 years. And the question I ask is that, why do you get stuck here? And he says, I've been doing this, the only thing I've been doing since I came to Canada. He's not even looking for any other job anymore. So it is important that if you're getting a survival job, just know that this is just a short-time remedy in order for you to get your long-term goals. And one other thing you can do while you're doing that survival job, if you have identified your profession, look for volunteer opportunities where it doesn't have to be every day. It might be once in a week. It might be 3 times in a week. It can even be in your local church. If you're an accountant, for example, I know that some churches, they have accounting department. You can volunteer to be a financial controller to support it. You put it on your resume. You having the Canadian experience. So it can even be in your local community. Some communities, they have local organization and they need volunteers for projects, you can also volunteer there. But you can take the survivor job, but do not allow that to disturb your final position of getting a job in your profession.
Thank you very much. So there's another question, and she wants to know, how does one get to know the body that runs certifications in Canada? So let's say I was a nurse back home and I've immigrated here. Where do I go? How do I even know that this is the body that is going to help me get certified so that I'll be able to start working?
Yeah. Now Google is your friend. That's the first place to start. So the first place to start is make Google your friend. And the question is, I mean, one of the other things I want to state is that in Canada, the way the Canada is structured, provinces differ from each other. So when you're asking those questions, when you are checking online, you need to quickly find out what certifications is required. If it's in Alberta, you have to put Alberta. What is it required for me to be a nursing in Alberta? If it's Quebec, it might be totally different. So you have to start with. And the beautiful thing also is that many of these provinces, they have their own website. Alberta has their own website. If you go to the alberta.ca, their website, all the questions about being a nursing professional in Alberta, you will get those information. So I think the place to start is go to Google or go to the website of the Alberta government. If you're coming to Alberta, if you are going to British Columbia, go to British Columbia. Those information will be there, and you'll be able to take it up from there.
Okay, so we have some more questions. Are we still good with time? Are you still good to go? So Kenny wants to know, what is the best place to network apart from LinkedIn?
All right. Other places to network is, I mean, you have, like I said, one of the first things to start with your friends, which are, I mean, you have your friends. Now, if you are the type who goes to church, you meet people in the church. Be willing, be open, go to people, introduce yourself. Like if your name is Kenny, walk to people and say, oh, my name is Kenny, I'm new in Canada. One of the things I love about Canada is that people love to chat in Canada. And so you have to develop the ability for you to be forward going, be outgoing, be able to talk to people. When you go to family, friends, you go to social event, and likewise also, if you are living in a community, for example, in the community where I live in Canada, in Calgary, they have a community association, and they used to have a monthly meeting. Another place where, and those monthly meetings is open to everybody. You can go into those monthly meetings, you meet people there. If you, for example, you are a business analyst, they used to have a monthly meeting in Calgary. So you go to those monthly meetings, even if you don't have that job yet, be part of your professional association, join them, attend their meetings, meet them, then you meet a lot of people there. And also, like I said before, make sure that sometimes there are people that I met in the grocery store before the issue of COVID-19. I mean, when I walk into a grocery store, I see some people, I chat them up. Some of them will become friends. But now that COVID-19 has come and a lot of people is trying to stay away from other people. But before now, even grocery store, you can meet with people. The first thing you need to do is that you need to be open. You need to be willing to associate, to relate with people.
Okay, thank you very much. So there is another question, and she asked, he talks about mentors. How do you find mentors since you are new to Canada?
Very good. What I've realized is that a whole lot of people, I mean, a lot of people have been here for years. They're actually willing. A lot of people are willing to help immigrants settle in. A lot of people are very willing. And one of the things I did when I came here was, like I said, I've been working mostly in trade finance. And I realized that if I needed to continue in trade finance and I wanted to do trade finance in banking here, then I will need to know who works in trade finance. So what I did was to go into LinkedIn. And I know that every bank has a trade finance department. So I went into that and I got those information. And what I did was to send a private message to 3 or 4 of them. I said, I'm new in the country. I've been doing trade finance for a number of years. I was just willing, if you could be my mentor, to just guide me through on what I need to do. I tell you, out of the 3 people I sent to, 2 of them responded. And we had a coffee meeting. And that was how it started. Many of them will tell you, or maybe they are busy in their schedule, maybe they don't have the time. But I know that once LinkedIn is very, very good, it's a very good professional network where you can leverage on. So just want to encourage you, leverage on that, reach out to people. And also, you can also get, if you have people like me, we have Nigerians who have been here before I got here. And talking to some of those Nigerians, they know one or two people also that they can refer me to or they can recommend to me. So talking to them also, you were able to get information about talk to this person, and on talking to one or two or three people, then we'll be able to get the contact to get a mentor. And we also have social service organizations in Canada that what they offer, the mentoring services itself. There are organizations in Canada. I know there used to be, I think there is one immigration service agent that one of the key things they do is mentoring program. So you can register for those programs and they will connect you to a mentor. And I know that African Connect themselves, they are working on also making sure that they are able to connect African immigrants to mentors in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I believe those are all the questions that we have. So probably I want you to sum up everything that you've said in a nutshell so that we can move to Alex, who is the immigration consultant, and see if we can have some questions for him. Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to say thank you for the time every one of us we've been able to spend here today. And like I said before, I want to encourage us. Canada is a good country. Even though there might be challenges, it is important for us to stay positive, to surround ourselves with possibility. And just like he said, shine like a diamond. One of the things I want to say is closing is that if you get a job here, even if the job is below your qualification, is below your standard, you need to shine like a diamond in that job for them to be able to know you have the capacity and ability to do a better job. Because what I've seen happen in some cases is that some people get a job and they feel sad about it and they don't perform optimally. So if you get a role and it's below your qualification, it's below your skill, shine like a diamond in that role. Once you shine like a diamond, then they'll be willing to give you opportunities to move forward. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate you honoring our invitation. And this was very informative. We are very, very grateful. God bless you. Thank you very much, Mr. Adewumi. So we would want to invite the immigration consultant to introduce himself, talk about what he does, and see if we have questions for him. He's going to market himself, put his number there, put his contact there, so that anyone who has information could connect with him. So please, if you are here, unmute yourself and talk.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so very much for that presentation. I was here listening to you, and there are certain things I would have with hindsight coming here almost 10 years ago. There are a lot of experiences that you shared there, and what they say about mentoring and about doing stuff like this is that if one has passed through a road or has passed through a challenge, it makes your own journey shorter because you do not necessarily have to pass through those roads. Thanks again for the things we've learned this afternoon. My name is Alexander Ureta, Alex for short. I'm a registered Canadian immigration consultant. What does that mean? That means that I've had to be trained in Canadian immigration law, and I've had to go back to school, get trained in Canadian immigration law, be interned in a lawyer's office for a period, and sat for the immigration licensing exam. I'm the principal consultant for Baypoint Immigration Services. We're based here in Calgary with footprints in Lagos, Abuja, in Lagos in Nigeria, and Abuja as places where we have our contact people. So I'm here to take your questions on immigration. If you do, if you have very simple questions that we can handle this afternoon, please feel free to ask them, and I'm very much willing on behalf of African Connect to provide as much answers as possible.
I have one question. So
Okay.
there's someone who is trying to immigrate. So she has everything, but then she's falling short of, there's a pass mark that you need to have so that you get your ITA. And I think the only way she can get it is to get a master's, because she's done, she's written the exams and she has really good scores. How would you advise them to go about it? Do they just connect with you, or there are other ways that they can go around to be able to come in without getting the master's? Because that is going to take about 2 years for them to get a master's.
Okay, thanks. Very good. Thanks so very much again. That's a very good question. I get that kind of question every now and then. But what I usually tell people is that it's difficult to provide professional advice if you do not know the total story. There are several ways that we use to help people to show up their points. Come to think of it, when other countries tell you that Canada has one of the smartest immigration policies, yeah, it's very true. Look at the kind of people that are coming in from all over the world, whether from Asia or from Africa or from Middle East. They're taking the best of the best from around the globe. So if you are thinking of migrating to Canada, know that you're not just competing with yourself, you're competing with the rest of the world. So what we do in this point immigration is we do not provide prescription based on half the story, right? Because you say they have very good score. What's a very good score in English test, right? Because there's a minimum score that you need to even enter the express entry. And there are several ways we can help. We do have to help people show up their points. One of them is doing your master's program. And like you rightly said, a lot of clients will say, "Oh, that's going to take me 2 years. I don't have 2 years." But there are other things with a proper assessment, which we do. With a proper assessment, initial assessment, we're able to, there is at least 3, 4, if not 5 ways that usually we're able to help people to show up their points. Legal ways, not anything illegal, but just to look at what they've put together and just answering one question, whether yes or no, or even doing certain things could just help them cross the line. So what I would say is, if that person is truly interested in crossing the line, they can consult with us, and we'll be very much willing to help them as much as is possible.
Did you already give your contact out, or
okay?
you want to give it to us? We can put it on our page so that people can connect with you.
Yeah. I'll put my my WhatsApp enabled phone number. I'll put our email address. It's info@basepointimmigration.com. But I'll put in those details.
Okay, so please send them to us, and then we'll put it on our page. So someone wants you to amplify your voice a bit. So there was a question, another question. So this gentleman is trying to immigrate. So he's already in the country, and the only way he can immigrate is through express entry, but he just can't pass the exam. I think there is a point that maybe there is a qualifying mark that you need to get in the English course, and he keeps failing in one. I think in the reading part. So how would you advise that person?
Okay, so again, this is one of those items. So there's a minimum score that you need to have to enter express entry. Some people will tell me I scored average 9, and yet they won't let me. if you score 10, 10, 10 in 3 and you score below 6 in IETL, in any one of them, you will not be allowed to enter express entry. So there's a minimum score you need to have. And how do you prepare? Our brother talked about Google. I will talk about YouTube. Before I could write my professional exam, I had to pass at a minimum 9 across each of those 4. So if I can do it, that's what I tell my clients. If I can do it with all the other things that I have to deal with, you too can do it. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Look for the right materials. There are a lot of free materials available online on YouTube. Make it a project. Don't make it as one of those things I do when I have time. No, make it a project. Study hard to it. For every exam, there is a method to it. There's what they want, what they want, and there's a method to how they want it. So that's what I would say. Don't give up if that's the only thing you're waiting for. You need a minimum 6 across each of those things for you to be able to enter express entry.
Okay, so there's another question. I have my COPR with a landing date in September. I cannot leave Australia because of the coronavirus border restrictions. Is there any way I can have an extension from immigration, since I believe I might be able to make my first landing before my date expires?
So is the question about extending or about bringing it forward?
So I think the question is 1 minute. It's either extending and also if he can move it forward. So either way, if there's that option, he will choose one of them.
Okay. So whatever, if you go to canada.ca and there's a web mail form that is used to send info to Canada Immigration. What you do is just go online to canada.ca. What you will do is search for web form, WEB. If you, it's menu driven. Just check there and say, they will ask you the kind of application. They will ask you if you are being affected by COVID. And if you answer yes, they'll give you a page to write what your request is. And I bet you, I use that every day. In 2 days, they will get back to you. You know, if you're asking for extension, yes, they would. There's general extension for everybody who have been impacted. But if you have a specific ask, yeah, just go use that form. And I can still tell you, people are still landing in Canada. I don't know about Australia, but there was a flight that came in on a week yesterday, Friday. I picked up a family that also had COPR who were able to join a special flight to land in Canada. Okay, so you have your COPR, use the web form to write to Canada Immigration. Within 2 to 5 business days, be sure that they will answer you back.
Okay, so we have some more questions. Someone wants to know what informs your decision to land in a particular city of the province you are nominated. Okay, that
okay. Yeah, no, I get the question. The first one is, it depends on what kind of program you followed. If you follow the Federal Express Entry, you can land anywhere. But if a province nominated you, good faith expects that you should land in that province. If you do not, the immigration can send you back. So I'll say that again. If you do the Federal Express Entry without a provincial nomination, you can land anywhere based on what our friends told us, a place where you can find support, a place where you know the kind of industry you are in. If you're in oil and gas, you're an engineer. A lot of people end up in Alberta because of the oil and gas here. If you're into technology, Calgary, Alberta is becoming a hub for technology. Ontario is also very well known for technology and auto industry. But if you have a provincial nomination from, say, Ontario, and you land in Canada, it's not a cost. They will send you back. They will tell you you've acted against good faith, because if Ontario nominated you, it means for the next minimum 2 years, 3 years, you are expected to go to Ontario, who have opened their doors to you, and don't come to Calgary because you prefer to be in Calgary.
Okay, thank you very much. So the gentleman that asked about the extension said his question is about extending it past September. Since my extension is in September, do I need to wait till like August to put in a request, or I can put it now?
Hey, dear brother, or sister, don't wait. As we're talking now, immediately after this program, go on your web browser, canada.ca, web form. Look for your web form, and then use it to send them information right away. They're on a backlog, even though they are attending quickly to those kind of information. But I tell you, they're on a backlog because of the pandemic. The earlier you do it, the better for your state of mind. Do it right away.
Okay, so we have one more question, then we'll open it up. If anyone asks a question, they can unmute themselves and ask it. So this one wants to know, what can he say about the pandemic and the fate of international students who are preparing to enter Canada for the fall intake?
Okay, so the beautiful thing about our beautiful Canada is that while other nations are still in the wilderness about the pandemic, they've been taking steps to kind of take care of stuff like that. Before now, if you are an international student, only certain percentage of your study can actually go online study. But beginning from immediately the pandemic started and all students moved to online classes, they changed that law that, okay, if you're an international student, your study, or your online study would count towards your postgraduate work permit. The new regulation that also came out a week or two ago that is sent to us as immigration consultants was that tell your clients that if they are outside of the country, you know, say you are somewhere in Australia, Africa, any part of the world, they're not in Canada. If you get your study permit, you are permitted to start your studies online from your home country. Okay, you can start your study online from your home country, and it will count towards your stay in Canada. So that's what they've put in place for students who are expected to come in the fall.
Thank you very much. So I would, if you have any questions and you can't type it or you've not typed it yet, please unmute yourself and ask it. We'll give about 2 minutes. If no one asks a question, then we will sum it up and call it a good meeting. So if you have any question, please unmute yourself and ask it. Or I think you can ask on Facebook Live as well.
I think that was a good presentation. But my problem is I received my acceptance letter in March, and the week I was about to apply for the study permit, and there was the lockdown. Now the embassies are not working, the VFS too are not working, so I can't take biometric. But my program is in September, and then the nature of my program, we can't take it online. So, and then the embassy too recommends that if you are coming for the fall intake, you have to apply by May, and it's almost June. What do I do?
Thank you so very much. It's not different from what I mentioned earlier. I have clients who fall in that category. what I've done with a number of them is that we we've written to the embassy. If you've submitted your application physically, that's okay. If you've not, again, you're able to submit all your forms online. I have people who are waiting. What we've done is we've put the schools, the college or university, we've put them on notice to say because of the pandemic, our person is not able to come. If I were you, I would be deferring that admission. I'll be deferring that admission to January. But if you say your program is such that you cannot do anything online, I'm not sure what that means. But Canada will probably not issue you a study permit to come to Canada if you do not do your biometrics. I have a couple of clients who are like that too. They've not been able to do their biometrics. So what we did for one of them, it was supposed to be May resumption. We wrote to the school. The school gave a new acceptance letter for September. I took that acceptance letter, sent it to Canada Immigration to say, hey, because of the pandemic, we couldn't do biometrics. And school, there's no way this person can also resume in May. Could you update this application as a September resumption while we wait, just like the rest of the world, for when we can do biometrics? It's what it is, but I would say take comfort in the fact that if all other documents are complete and you've submitted all of them to Canada Immigration, it's not your fault that you do not have your study permit or no decision has been made. Put your school on notice, and if that program is one of those that can start in January, I'm sure they will. If it's one of those programs that cannot be online and it can start in January, I'm sure they'll be happy to move it to January. It's just a waiting game for now. It's a waiting game because the embassy, the immigration office is backlogged, one, and then the travel advisory is still there. Our airports are closed, so it's just what it is.
Okay, so I have another question. The question is, what are the criteria to be followed now for the new immigration policy this period?
It depends on what you want to do, but the first criteria is that the laws have not changed. The laws have not changed. The laws are still what they are. What has changed is that you are allowed. They encourage everyone. If you go to Canada.ca to choose immigration, there's a banner there that due to COVID-19, our VAC center, which is visa acceptance centers, they are not open for safety reasons. Please go use online to make your application. The only thing, if you are one of those who do not have a pre-existing, if you're under 18, you do not need a biometric, okay? But if you are 18 and above, you need a biometric. Immigration is making those exceptions, right? I have somebody who called me yesterday. Decision was made on his application, even without the biometric, right? So it just depends on what comfort level they see with your application. So with or without the biometrics, they could have. So the major thing that has changed is that go online and interact with Canada Immigration.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone wants to know that she wants all the options, how she can apply, work permits, go worker immigration. How does she know that someone is a legit consultant? And I just told the person that you're a legit consultant. So please, before you sum it up, put your details out there, your contacts out there again, and tell the person you're certified, you have your credentials, and then you can sum it up for us.
Okay, thanks so very much. I fully agree with you. I hear stories every day that break my heart. I still heard one today, while I was making my consulting call. I wouldn't be doing this if I would never. I know there are a lot of people out there who do all kinds of things for gain. Um, it's not for me to say so. They say it's not for you to say you are above board. You must show that you are above board. If you go to either IRCC, if you go to the Canada Immigration website and you are looking for approved representative, just look for Alexander Irete. I'm putting my details here. My number is 534785, and you will look for Base Point Immigration. We are not just we are not just licensed to do what we are doing. Our names are on Canada immigration website, and I bet you this is not that country where you can talk immigration if you're not an immigration, if you're not licensed to talk it. You cannot take a dime or advise people on immigration if you are not licensed to do that. Otherwise, it's it's not negotiable. It's sentence. It's jail. There are things that this country doesn't play with. Their taxation, their immigration law. If you break any of those two, those who know you before, we say they don't even know you anymore. So we are legit. I will not put myself out here online for the whole world to see if we are not licensed to do what I'm doing. Alexander Irete is the name. My number is R534785, and the name of our business is Base Point Immigration. Base Point Immigration. Base Point Immigration Incorporated. We're based here in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada. So talking about wrapping it up, if you're interested in everything, because of Africa Connect, I'm making an offer of a 1 hour consultation. You know, usually we charge more for $100 US. I'm ready to do your assessment over and beyond, give you all the options that you need. You know, give you all the options that you need, and now, even if you don't want to continue with us taking the next step with you, we're ready to give you, based on our assessment, when you consult with us, we're ready to give you what options you qualify for and what you do not qualify for. We will never lead you on a path that you will meet a dead end. We want you to succeed. This country opened itself up for people like me, people like my brother who spoke, my family, my children. By God's grace, we came into this country. It gave us opportunity, and my doing this is because of the things I've seen people go through, and I thought somebody can do this correctly. Somebody can do this with integrity, and that's what we are doing at Base Point Immigration. Feel free to contact us. I'm putting my details there. Feel free to check us out with Canada Immigration, with IRCC, like we call the Immigration Refugee and Citizenship Canada, or you go to our body, RCIC, to also check. You will find my name there, that I'm not just a practicing licensed consultant. I'm also in good standing, both with Canada Immigration and with the licensing body. I want to thank Africa Connect and all the folks who put this together. I just hope that it's been beneficial to each and every one of you. Our joy is to see you come to this place, not to be put down, but to be lifted up. And there's no better way to do it than to have people, than to have an organization like Africa Connect that is teaching you the ropes and showing you what to do and what not to do to succeed. Please go forth and shine. Thanks so very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. So we are very grateful that you were able to honor our invitation. And if you have more time, maybe next month when we meet again, we hope to have you on board to answer more questions. So we'll just spare 1 minute. Any question for the main speaker or any question for Mr. Alex? If there are no questions after 1 minute, we will sum it up and then we can call it a good meeting. So let's just give 1 minute. Okay, so I guess the 1 minute is up. There is a free 1 hour consultation. Alex, thank you so much for offering this to people that are watching via African Connect. We are totally grateful. If you want to immigrate to Canada, if you want to come here as an international student, please connect with Alex. We will put all his information on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, and so you can go there and connect with him and get your 1 hour free consultation. Ask all questions, pre-COVID, current COVID, post-COVID, all the questions you have with regards to immigrating to Canada, you can ask him. And because he's a professional, he'll be able to answer. I get questions all the time and people ask me, and I tell them I came here a long time ago and things have changed, things have evolved. So he is current, he knows what is going on every single day. So he's the best person to speak with. Okay, so I just want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Adewomi and Mr. Alex for coming today to speak with us and for making this program a success. We really appreciate you and your time. I always say this, in this part of the world where most people are paid by the hour, if someone gives you 1 hour of their time for free to come and support you, then you really have to appreciate them, because he could have used that 1 hour elsewhere and he would have been paid. So we are really appreciative of your time and for the information that you shared with us. Thank you very much. God bless you. So as we said, the support group is for immigrants, and we are focusing more on the economic side of immigrating to Canada. It's going to happen every month, once every month, the last Saturday of the month. The time may vary, but currently our time is 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain time, I guess, yeah. Mountain time, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So next month, June, the last Saturday is going to be the 27th of June. And our main speaker is going to be someone that came into the country, got a good job, and then in 2008, the economic crash happened and he was laid off. He went to work one day and then he went there and they said, we don't want you anymore. And it was, I don't want to give more details because I don't know if he wants to go there when he comes next month, but it was so challenging for him. Just imagine that you just bought a house recently and there is mortgage to be paid, there is bills to be paid, and then you go to work and you are laid off. And so he went into entrepreneurship. And so next month, we are going to focus on entrepreneurship. What if you don't want to work for anyone? What if you want to come to Canada and have your own job? How do you navigate around the system to be able to have your own job that is solid, that would care for you? So he's into real estate and he's going to be our speaker. He's called Godwin Osagi. He's going to be our speaker for next month, June. The posters will be out. If you see it and you are interested, please register and join us on Facebook Live or join our Zoom meeting and bring all the questions and ask all the questions. If Alex has time, he will join us again as well next month. And then hopefully he still has that 1 hour free consultation and we can have a good time next month. Thank you very much, everyone from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from wherever you are joining us, from Alberta, from Saskatchewan. We really appreciate you. And see you next month. Have a good life. Stay safe. Please stay safe. We really want to see you next month. So stay safe and listen to the regulations going on in your country. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Mercy, don't log out. African Connect, stay there. Animwa. They're still 11 people by first option. Are you kidding me? See that? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Don't log out. African Connect, stay there.
Who's crying?
Wait. Pastor Alex has left too. Pastor Alex has left. Sorry, we still have some guests there. Wait. Can we hold on, please? We still have some guests there. They need to sign out.
Oh, you did my
Pastor Alex has left. Pastor Alex has left. Sorry, we still have some guests there. Wait. Pastor Alex has left. They need to sign out. Pastor Alex has left. Pastor Alex has left. Sorry, we still have some guests there.
She don't buy things for the house. She don't buy things for the. If she anytime wants to come or go come down, she will buy things like bed sheet, soap, everything. When she go out like that, she don't put up for house or she put up for her coming out. So of course we talk about all my things don't be so now we don't do one for her. You can see the
Can you hear me? I was just talking to her. Can you imagine? Can you hear me?
I think now the guests are
Hello?
gone. Anymore, you are muted. Mercy, you are muted.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, please hold on. I don't know if the Facebook Live has ended. If it has not ended, whatever we say will go there. Mercy, please end the Facebook Live.
I think you did. Well, I couldn't tune in, so.
Mercy, have you ended the Facebook Live?
Yeah.
Have you ended it?
Yes. I have. I've ended it.
Yay!
Now with Asha, but we didn't wait before shouting. Why do you?
Sister Buki.
Sister Buki, you don't wait before shouting.
Mama the mama.
It has gone to Facebook.
I know. I started clapping. Mama Buki. Oh, where's Mama Buki? They've gone off.
Wait, what happened?
Barbara is gone.
That.
This was amazing! Congratulations!
Our board of directors have gone. No?
Yeah, they've gone. Annette told me she was going. She had to go, so Barbara is coming back. Annette said she had to go, so she went. Everyone has gone. They will send us an email.
But I was seeing some white woman. Who is she?
Board of directors.
Oh, okay. So I was feeling like the way you guys were saying Africans helping Africans. I was like, what if this person is also like?
So African College is part of our board of directors. Annette.
Okay.
This was amazing. I was so excited. Congratulations to all of us. Buki, what's that smell?
Good job.
That's your smell. That's your smell. You instead of saying your social distancing, I'll call the popo for still